Have a day today, dog. Offense, great drive.
Go!
He's up. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Training Camp Live, presented by Atlantic Health System.
Since January 9th, 2022, the New York Jets are gearing up to play football yet again, although it is the same calendar year. Welcome to the Training Camp Live, presented by Atlantic Health. Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen, Caroline Hendershot on the field. We'll hear from her later. Said it earlier, feels good to have a game week as the Jets are preparing for their first game of the 2022 season this Friday night at Philadelphia.
Yeah, game week certainly is here. We were just at MetLife Stadium until late Saturday night. Jets had an off day Sunday. Back at it here. We'll have 3 practice days. Then it's a walkthrough. Then the buses will be off to Route 95. Take that down, and they'll be in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Jets, Eagles, Friday night.
All right, so this is a game that's historically at the end of the preseason. This game now comes the first preseason matchup for both teams. This is an open practice day today. The Jets will have joint practices next week here with the Atlanta Falcons, but let's not get ahead of our skis here. Is we going to see any differences, do you think, this week leading up to the Eagles game in terms of practice?
Yeah, a little bit, and I think you'll probably be talent off towards the end of the week, but we'll probably see the goal line situations for the first time in camp. We haven't seen those actually live, but we were out here early today, Ethan, and the guys were going through late game situations, so they were walking through even before stretch. So Robert Saleh and his staff going to continue to go over every kind of situation that these guys, not just the starters, will face on game day. Also,
Jets-Eagles, week 1 of the preseason. Before we get into a little bit more, I just got to know, you a cheesesteak guy? You going to dabble this Friday in Philly?
No, I don't think so. You a cheesesteak guy?
Oh, yeah. You go whiz or provolone. You got to put hot peppers. I know you definitely put hot peppers.
Yeah, I don't put any cheese on my cheesesteak.
Just
give me a steak.
So you just have shaved beef in a roll?
Yeah, give me some hot peppers still.
All right. So with game week also comes the first unofficial depth chart in training camp. Keyword unofficial, because it is just that, but still very exciting for a lot of people, specifically fans, to take a look at. A couple things stand out, EA. Let's start on the defensive side of the ball. Let's start at the cornerback position. Sauce Gardner, Bryce Hall, both listed as starters opposite DJ Reed.
Yeah, it's an unofficial depth chart that is prepared by the PR department in ahead of this preseason opener, Jets-Eagles. But this is no surprise that those guys line up as co-starters because they've been alternating first-team reps at practice. Each guy's been getting a day. In fact, both Hall and Gardner lined up as starters on the outside Saturday night because DJ Reed, who is penciled in as a starter, is dealing with some hamstring tightness.
And also both of those guys. Also, before we start, just want to take a note here. The offense is now in the green jersey. So far through practice, they've been in white, the defense in green. We got a little halfway through camp switcheroo here.
No switcheroo for the quarterbacks.
No, they will continue to be red. Remember, though, a couple of years ago, the Jets did have black quarterback jerseys. Not a good idea in the heat here. I say that wearing a black shirt, by the way.
Yeah, you're wearing the black shirt out here today.
Yeah, well, it happens to do with sweat. But if I were playing football, it'd be a little different.
What did you think about number 2 Saturday night at MetLife
Stadium? We're going to get to that. I don't want to spoil anything, but we're going to get to that, a little review of the green and white practice. Continuing on the defensive side of the ball of the unofficial depth chart, let's move to the linebacker position because you would imagine that C.J. Mosley, Quincy Williams, both listed as starters. That doesn't really surprise anybody. But with the addition of Quan Alexander and also Marcel Harris in free agency, both former 49ers, both familiar with the defense, kind of a little bit of a question, who would be penciled in? And on the unofficial depth chart, it is, in fact, Marcel Harris listed as the third linebacker.
Yeah, familiarity, a veteran. And the Jets did sign Quan Alexander here during training camp, at the beginning of training camp. But you have much more depth at the position. You mentioned the 2 linebackers who are entrenched with those starting positions. That's your Mike linebacker, your leader, C.J. Mosley, and then Quincy Williams, the Will linebacker, a waiver fine last year from Jacksonville. How many snaps are you going to be playing? 3 linebackers, probably in the 30% range, I would imagine, where you're playing that typical 4-3 base defense, because now in the National Football League, we talk about it all the time, that you're a nickel, you see Michael Carter on the field, multiple defensive backs, but there is going to be good competition throughout camp at that linebacker position, because we talk about Marcel Harris. Quan Alexander came in. He's made his presence felt, and I think he continues to get better. And then the young linebackers as well, Jamie Sherwood, Hamza, Nasruddin. They've done some good things out here.
The Florham Park Strangler. I can't get over the nickname. It's a fantastic nickname, a little intimidating, to be honest, but it's still a good nickname. And the other thing about the defense in terms of the depth chart that stands out, we talked about 2 former San Francisco 49ers and Marcel Harris and Quan Alexander. Well, let's make it a trio. Solomon Thomas, the defensive lineman, penciled in as the starter alongside Quinnen Williams in a 4-down front.
Yeah. System familiarity, and the Jets are raving about what this guy brings to the table as far as the motor is concerned. He's going 100 miles per hour. I think he would be sacked the other night. We saw that. That was a big question, I think, heading into training camp, is who's going to be lining up next to Quinnen Williams. For a couple of years in those traditional run situations, you'd have Fuller Runzo Fatukasi. Of course, he signed a free agency with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jets counter with Solomon Thomas. Now, people would say, well, he's undersized. Well, Robert Saleh made it clear the other day the Jets love those 3 technique linemen who get up the field in a hurry, and he fits that mold. Jonathan Marshall's a young guy who both me and you have talked about here in camp. I think he's popped quite a bit as well. Sheldon Rankins, a veteran. So, again, we talk about the defensive end position. You're going to be able to rotate there. You're going to be able to rotate a defensive tackle. But right now, it sure looks like Solomon Thomas. He could be the opening day starter alongside Quinnen Williams, a defensive tackle.
Taking a look at the meeting of the minds right here on Training Camp Live, presented by Atlantic Health. Robert Saleh on the left. Mike LaFleur's back towards the camera. Jeff Ulbrich, the mid-season form in terms of the facial hair. The beard always looks great with the backwards camo hat right there. And you know, well, first of all, what is Robert Saleh and what is Jeff Ulbrich doing wearing the long-sleeve hoodies on a day like today, and the long pants? And Mike LaFleur's got long sleeve. What is it with these people?
I don't know. Back in the day, I mean, guys used to wear long sleeves because they wanted to lose weight.
None of those guys need to lose weight.
I agree with that. But, again, guys used to like to come out and sweat. Again, you're protecting your body from the sun if you're in long sleeves.
Okay, that's a good point.
Okay.
But to be fair, LaFleur has got a gray and a white shirt on.
But
Jeff
he
Ulbrich
has
had
shorts
the black on black.
But LaFleur has shorts on.
Yeah, LaFleur knows what's going on. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason behind it, a little method to the madness, but it's still pretty crazy.
But that's Saleh's deal. Are you surprised by that? He's a long sleeve guy here in the summertime.
No, he is a long sleeve guy. But
unless he's on a golf course.
If I looked like Robert Saleh, I would be wearing short sleeves, I think. Although there is something to be said when you look
keep on talking about if you look like somebody else. You said it the other night. You were talking about Carl Lawson.
You
said you wouldn't be wearing a shirt.
What would you? I said most of the time I would not. Would you?
I don't know. If I was the head coach of the team or just starting outside linebacker, I'd probably be, or defensive end, I'd probably be wearing a shirt still.
Well, maybe on the field, but just saying, you go to the beach, shirt's coming off.
Everybody takes the shirt off.
Anyway, let's dial it in here, all right? Let's go to the offensive side of the ball with the unofficial depth chart. We were taking a look at the receivers earlier. Corey Davis, definitely one of the starters. Not really a lot of surprises on the offensive side of the ball, but I just want to note that a lot of these guys, specifically the rookies, are listed on third on the depth charts. For example, Breece Hall behind Michael Carter and Tevin Coleman. Garrett Wilson behind Elijah Moore, Braxton Berrios, etc. But that's not to say, this is where it gets tricky, because we've seen Breece Hall get first-team reps throughout camp periodically. So it's not to say that that's where they are listed, because, again, it is unofficial.
I would say no surprise, because one thing the coaching staff will continue to reiterate is that these guys are talented. They're putting in the work, these rookies, but they're going to have to earn it. So when they get out there on the field and get those regular season reps, it will be because they have earned it out here on the practice field. Starting slot receiver on the unofficial depth chart, Braxton Berrios.
Yep.
No surprise, but we should just point that out, because for years it was Jameson Crowder, and Berrios really broke out, not just from a return perspective last year, but he had a career year offensively as well. Garrett Wilson right now, he is behind Elijah Moore on the outside.
Yeah.
But both of those guys have the flexibility to shift inside as well.
Yeah, I think it's a great point also because I think there's a handful of people that are like, well, now that the Jets have drafted somebody like Garrett Wilson, maybe Elijah Moore will line up more in the slot. Well, on the depth chart, as it stands, Corey Davis and Elijah Moore on the outside with Braxton Berrios there in the slot. Speaking of Braxton Berrios and special teams, a couple things stand out. First of all, we know that the Jets are amidst a kicking competition. Eddie Pinheiro and Greg Zuerlein both listed as the starting kicker. We'll see how that plays out, probably starting Friday night. Both of those guys had very good nights at the green and white. We'll talk about that in a minute. The guy that stood out to me, Rashard Davis, listed behind Braxton Berrios at punt returner, even though Calvin Jackson, the undrafted free agent, has been taking most of the reps after Berrios, including at Saturday night's green and white practice.
Yeah, he's got speed. He's got wheels. We've seen him make some plays offensively as well out here on the field. But for guys to make this roster, especially if you're 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th down the line in a position group, you got to make a dent on special teams. I can't underscore that enough.
I think it's a great point. And Rashard Davis, the leader in return yardage at the USFL before he signed with the green and white. And this season, you could take advantage of new ticket mini plan offerings to lock in great lower level seats starting at just $120 per game. You can catch 7 or 3 games at MetLife Stadium, plus receive exclusive benefits. For more information and to select your plan, visit nyjets.com/mini plans. Right now, taking a look at the wide receivers, but I do want to circle back to Saturday night because the Jets green and white practice, first of all, great turnout, over 17,000 fans at MetLife Stadium. Second of all, can we just pick up the special teams conversation? Because Eddie Pinheiro was perfect on the night. Greg Zuerlein missed 1 field goal in the special teams period, but he also knocked home a 56-yard boot that Randy Lang, great stat, would have been the longest field goal by a Jets kicker at MetLife Stadium.
Langer all over it as always. Listen, that boot was good from 56. It probably would have been good from 63, 64 yards out. When they just did that special teams drill, I believe Pinheiro was 4 of 4, and Zuerlein missed from 47 yards. Both of those guys, I think if you add up their kicks as far as what we've seen out here, it'd be pretty close.
It definitely is pretty close, and we'll see how it plays out throughout the course of the preseason. And for more on Saturday night's green and white practice, specifically the way the defense retaliated after the offense came out firing, let's go down to the field with Caroline Hendershot. Caroline, good morning.
Good morning. It feels like the afternoon with this heat on the field right now, guys, but Saturday was amazing. I talked to CJ Mosley after the game, and he stressed how clutch the defense was. He said one of the biggest things they've been working on is getting those stops. They had a really game-altering stop at the end of the 2-minute drill. They had some interceptions, and he said that's what we've been focusing on, is getting the offense back on the field when we can, and when it comes down to it, it's getting those plays and then getting off the field as soon as they can. So they said they had some solid plays, but there's still plenty of room to improve, so they're getting back to work today.
Awesome, Caroline. Great stuff. Appreciate it. And CJ Mosley, the all-time pro, and he told Caroline after the practice that was his emphasis, and that's what Robert Saleh's emphasis has been as well, turning the ball over, giving the offense another chance. And let's just set the stage here for those of you who missed it. Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, the first 2 drives in the scrimmage situation, they both drive the length of the field, they punch it in. Then the offense, first team, second team, and third team, none of them scored again, and specifically in the 2-minute period, as we were talking about with Caroline earlier, the defense, back-to-back interceptions, 1 Zach Wilson, 1 Joe Flacco, Delshon Phillips ended the first team offense's drive, and then Philly Will Parks ended the second team offensive drive.
I thought the Parks interception might have been off Mike White.
You're right, but he took the second team offensive snap, but it was not Flacco.
I got you. Well, by the way, 2 consecutive practice days with an interception.
That's
for
right.
Will Parks. So he's popping. And you were talking about Bryce Hall at the beginning of the program here. He had an interception Friday in the first play of team. He almost had an interception of the aforementioned Zach Wilson on Saturday when he jumped a route right in front of Garrett Wilson, almost come down with the pick. And then the next play, Wilson couldn't connect with C.J. Uzama. And Delshon Phillips made a nice play on it. So for the Jets defense, they need more takeaways in 2022. That's the point that I'm going to continue to stress, and I've been encouraged by it. It's like that two-sided coin, though, right? You want to protect the football offensively,
right,
but you're also encouraged by what you're seeing defensively.
That's why in training camp there are no bad plays, right? Because it's either a positive for the offense or a positive for the defense.
But this guy was good the other night.
He really was, and let's move to the quarterbacks. Before we talk about Zach Wilson, just very random side note here. We were looking at Joe Flacco toss the pigskin a couple seconds before. The last time the Jets played the Eagles in the preseason, Joe Flacco was a Philadelphia Eagle playing the New York Jets last preseason in the finale. Wild game, by the way. If you recall, it ended in a tie. The Temple Ole Miss product, Kenny Yeboah, came down with the Hail Mary to end the game. That was one of the more exciting preseason games that I think I've seen since I started working here in 2016. But let's go.
What's that? BioBlast? We got a graphic on that?
Yeah. We'll put. No, this is on Purdue's show. Wednesday we'll do a BioBlast for both of us.
Here, I got some trivia for you.
Oh boy, here we go. Hit me.
So Yeboah makes the touchdown catch.
Yes.
But that puts the Jets down by 2 points. Who converts the two-pointer?
Oh, that is a great question.
In order to force that preseason tie.
Was it a receiver who caught it?
No, I believe it was a run.
Well, I just want to say it was. I don't know. I want to say Josh Johnson.
We got to look that up.
I think you can't just drop trivia and then not know the answer.
It's not Josh Johnson. The boys in the back will tell us. They can get in our ear.
All right, yeah. We'll get that looked up.
Matthew Sickoff and Tim Morgan, get off the internet and do your Google search.
All right. So going back to Zach Wilson Saturday night, he really did come out firing. And what was most impressive to me, I'm sure you'd say similarly, in the move the ball periods, like in the scrimmage, we really got an opportunity to see Zach Wilson be decisive, rolling out of the pocket and then tucking it and running.
Yep.
Because in practice, it's hard to tell, like, was it a sack? Did he escape the pocket? Did he tuck it and run? Saturday, you really saw, specifically in the first drive, moving the ball, 11 plays, 75 yards, a decent amount with his feet.
Man, you're right about that, and that just speaks to him going through those progressions, also feeling the heat and knowing when to get out. And he can get places in a hurry, but what I was probably most encouraged about offensively, not only was the way he threw the football, but the Jets ran it pretty well, but I love the connection that we've seen between Zach Wilson and number 83, Tyler Conklin.
All right. We got the answer on the two-point conversion. A former Philadelphia Eagle, Josh Adams, the running back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Notre Dame alum.
That's right.
Punched it in there. I thought we were going to OT, but the new rules, obviously, in the preseason.
Yeah, you could end in a tie, and that was a very exciting preseason game. We'll see what the Jets and Eagles have for an encore this Friday night at the Link. But what really impressed me also Saturday was Tyler Conklin, because we've seen since the spring Tyler Conklin continue to be a security blanket for that guy, Zach Wilson, and to see that starting to translate into more game-like situations, starting with Saturday night's green and white practice, you love to see it, first of all. Also, doesn't feel like he gets talked about enough in terms of this tight end room. I want to throw you with this stat because I think...
Hold on. Before you throw the stat.
Okay.
If people are listening to us on this show...
The past two shows. No, it would be the prior show to Saturday. They know about Conklin.
The secret is out.
Yeah.
Tyler Conklin is going to catch a lot of balls for the New York Jets this year.
You ready for the stat?
Yep.
Pro Football Focus has a drop grade, right? Tyler Conklin ranked third in the NFL in terms of no drops. 90.0 drop grade. And that's top 3 in the NFL if no matter the amount of targets, whether that's 20, 50, or 80%. And I don't know if I would have known that before he came here, but seeing the way that he played in the spring and now the summer, it makes a lot of sense.
Does not surprise me. By my count, we've been out here every day. He's dropped one ball in camp. That's what I've seen. And he got in the end zone the other day, which was nice to see, rewarded for all his good work. But the Jets have so much explosion. They got explosive possibilities on the outside with guys like Moore and Garrett Wilson, and those guys are going to open up some of the field. And I like the possibilities for Wilson with these tight ends, with Conklin, with Uzama in the backside of the backfield as well. And how about the speed element that Breece Hall showed out of the backfield?
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about Breece Hall and the rookies right after I tell you that NFL Network has you covered with insider access across all 32 teams. All-day coverage continues this week inside training camp only on NFL Network. So Breece Hall, another one of those guys, EA, who we've seen flashes throughout the spring, throughout the early parts of the summer. To see him do it Saturday night at MetLife Stadium, you really got to see, I think, just how fast and how sneaky fast Mike LaFleur talks about Breece Hall. He says that he sneaks up on defenders with his speed. I think that was on full display for the 17,000 fans Saturday.
Good vision, and then once he sees something, he doesn't waste any time, and he just picks up yards in a hurry, and he's so compact as well. That's the great thing, that he's carrying those 200-plus pounds, and he's compact. But with that being said, he's getting there fast. He's sub 4.4. And when people talk about Breece Hall, yes, the production was there at Iowa State, no doubt about that. But I asked Robert Saleh about it the other day. One of the plays that most impressed me so far in camp was Quan Alexander's coming on a blitz up the A-gap, and 20. Breece Hall got in his way, gave his quarterback enough time, and Joe Flacco hit a receiver down the field at a double move.
Yeah, that was Tariq Black, and it was a great play. And I think that for the second year in a row, you really start to see the Jets rookies make an immediate impact on this team, starting in training camp last year. Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, obviously Zach Wilson. Elijah Vera-Tucker, yes, as well. It's hard to notice for us because we're not offensive line experts. But with the guys that the Jets have drafted this year, you really start to see them coming on. I thought Jermaine Johnson was winning a lot of his reps that we saw when I watched him Saturday. The other guy, Garrett Wilson, feels like that he started so fast that you keep wanting to expect more, but you have to remember these are just rookies, and I feel like the past couple practices hasn't been too loud in terms of making plays, but I do want to point out Saturday, Zach Wilson threw a very long pass. Garrett Wilson down the sideline coming across the field. He caught the ball full extension without diving. He just happened to be out of bounds.
Yeah, that's one of those fun matchups that we like to watch every day. You got Garrett Wilson with Sauce Gardner. And the other thing that, flipping to the other side, talking about Sauce as we look at Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh chat here at the beginning of practice on a hot and muggy Monday here in Florham Park, is that Sauce Gardner did a nice job on a third down vertical route from Corey Davis where Zach Wilson was trying to go up top, and Sauce was there step for step. So, you know, when you look at camp, Gardner is not really giving up too many balls.
No, he has not. He's been very impressive. And let's just end talking about the Jets corners, because this is one of the positions, along with tight end, that's been completely revamped. And DJ Reed has not been practicing with a hamstring injury, so Sauce Gardner and Bryce Hall have been taking the reps on the outside. I just want to end with this, and I'm curious your thoughts. This is why the Jets have players like Bryce Hall on this team, because if somebody gets hurt, the drop-off is not the same to what it was last season.
Yeah, I love the depth, man. I really do. And Guidry's a guy backing up Michael Carter at nickel, but let's go to the outside. Listen, if Bryce Hall ends up being your fourth corner, your first guy up on the outside, if that indeed happens, Bryce Hall is a starter. He's shown you enough that you're comfortable with him getting a ton of reps. I mean, I think his game continues to ascend. And another guy who's kind of flying a little bit too much under the radar, Brandon Echols. Yeah. I love the physicality he plays at the cornerback position. You want cornerbacks who can come in there, put their heads down, and take guys down in the run game. Echols is a guy who's going to hit you, and then he's going to let you know about it. I love it.
Yeah, of course you do. You love the underdog mentality. Brandon Echols, a sixth-round pick out of Kentucky last year. You see that guy jogging across the top of the screen, number 82? We haven't talked at all about him. Irvin Charles, undrafted free agent. He's somebody who definitely is physically imposing. He's got an NFL body, and so it'll be exciting to see what happens throughout the course of training camp, because this is a guy where you start to make some noise in the preseason, right? And then maybe you see where the chips fall, whether that be the 53-man roster or the 16-man practice squad or another team.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Robert Saleh's asked about reps today. He probably will be. I don't think he'll give that answer out just right away, but Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll get a better feel of how he's going to play the quarterbacks and maybe as far as the first team, second team, and down the line.
Jets-Eagles, Friday night in Philadelphia. New York Jets football is back, and it starts Friday night. Training camp open to the public today. We will see you Wednesday for another Training Camp Live presented by Atlantic Health. Make sure to stay hydrated, wear your sunscreen, and we'll see you Wednesday.